Hey guys, it's Fox, and tonight, I don't know, tonight for me, maybe today for you, we're going to be reading a creepy story, because 'tis the season for creepiness, and 'tis the channel for creepiness. It's creepy all the time, but it is coming on Halloween, so figured what better thing to open up with, than a creepy story. So, this story is called This Is All Very Nope. Alright, you ready? Because I'm ready. So, if you're not ready, I guess pause and go get yourself a drink. Maybe light a candle, click on a light, or if you're really into it, turn off the lights and just wear your headphones, because it's just creepier that way, I think. I don't know. But anyway, this is all very nope. When I was a teenager in Colorado Springs, we all used to crawl through this small tunnel that was directly under the interstate to get back and forth from our neighborhood into the, we're going to try not to swear on this channel, but into the crappy trailer park without obviously having to jump fences or run across the highway. Because you shouldn't run across the highway, it's pretty dangerous. But anyway, one drunken night, I was out alone and on my way home at about 2 to 3 a.m. and I came out of the tunnel only to find myself face to face with this huge Rottweiler staring directly at me. I was in shock for a second and my stomach dropped. Instinctively, I started yelling at the darn dog to go home. He just stood there glaring at me with every step I slowly took back, trying to get away. He would bark and growl, showing his teeth. So I started stomping towards him instead in a dominant way and yelling at him to go home, hoping that would work. He turned and took steps back, but still proceeded in torturing me and barking and growling. I stupidly, drunkenly, started to power walk away. Then I heard his feet running towards me as I had my head turned and I looked up. The dog was completely out of sight, as if I imagined the whole thing. So to this day, I don't know if the dog was somebody's pet or if I didn't hear him running away. I don't know. Maybe it was a dark spirit. That wasn't as cool as I thought it would be. I don't know. Let's try another one. This is called The Thing. When I was about 8 years old, I was up in Maine at my uncle's house with my cousin and little brother, all in the same age range. The part of Maine, Stratton, is pretty secluded, about 30 minutes from Canada. We were sleeping on sleeping bags in his living room when all of a sudden, through the window of my uncle's door, probably about 9 feet tall, it had a human-like anatomy. This thing was standing hunched over and looking into the house. Sounds like a, what do you call that? A Bigfoot? a Sasquatch. A Sasquatch. That's what it sounds like. We all screamed, and it did a non-human maneuver with its neck and ran behind the house. The footsteps of this thing practically shook the house. My mom and uncle come running into the living room. It's been practically 20 years, and we all still talk about it like it was yesterday. These are not as scary as I thought they would be. You know what? Give me a second. Give me just a quick second here. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully, this one works out a little bit better. The third story, so whichever way it goes, I only do the number 3. 3 is my thing, so no less, no more, just the way it goes. Anyway, this is called The Figure in Dark Robes. I've told this to a select few, and while creepiest / scariest is subjective, in the context of my life, it truly is the creepiest and scariest unsolved mystery. Sorry. I was a freshman in high school in my hometown of La Crosse, Wisconsin. I hope I said that right. I don't really know. Sorry if I didn't, to anybody that lives in that area of Wisconsin. Anywho, I was sleeping over at my friend Tom's house. We were watching a movie in his living room when he suddenly got a phone call. I watched as he listened to what was being said on the other line. I watched as emotion poured all over his face as he threw the phone across the room. After moments of crying, he told me that a boy at my school had committed suicide. Now, I knew this boy only through seeing him in the halls. My friend Tom and I didn't go to the same high school, but Tom and I did go to the same middle school with this boy. Apparently, Tom bullied him, and during those years, he was pretty rough. He wasn't proud of it, and to be honest, I was pretty surprised, because he was a really great guy. He really had utter remorse. We decided to sneak out and go for a walk. The year was roughly 1990, maybe 1991. We were freshmen in high school. Now sneaking out was nothing new. We always did it. At the time, we weren't into drugs, alcohol, partying. We just liked the freedom of walking the streets at night, and the discussions were always great. Normally, we'd go walk through the big cemetery that was near my house. It was behind the train tracks that still run through La Crosse County to this day. We loved the danger of the cemetery, the scares. We were kids. It was a rite of passage. As we walked along the train tracks leading to the cemetery, we stopped. To this day, I can't explain why. We had walked into that cemetery dozens of times, and on scarier nights. For whatever the reason, we didn't want to go in there. I don't know if it was the thought of death on our minds due to my classmate's suicide being a factor. Perhaps. Regardless, without really saying anything to each other, we stopped. We turned around and decided to head down a nearby street instead. Now, in retrospect, I do have to say that throughout this walk, things seemed a little off. There wasn't a car in sight. This was suburbia. Even walking through the town's main street was odd, because there just weren't any cars. Odd. It was roughly after midnight. It was a weekend night. Where was everybody? Perhaps just a strange coincidence? It feels weird tonight. The air, the lights. So we decided to walk down a dead-end street. And at the end of the street was a ditch with a simple up, down, and up trail that led to the street that I lived on. Simple enough. Keep in mind, as I get into the horrifying part of this story, that we were in the suburbs. These weren't old, creepy houses with strange individuals, and trees were small. It wasn't a brand new development, but it wasn't really old either. So, as Tom and I were walking down this street, we're looking down the road beneath our feet as we walk. I don't remember the exact conversation at this particular moment. Perhaps we're talking about the tragedy of that night. But it could have just easily have been about Star Wars or any other thing. As we approached the dead end, which was a few houses away, Tom and I suddenly stopped. We did so at the same time, without saying one word to each other. Our heads slowly turned toward each other, both sensing something. The hair on our arms and our back of our neck were standing high, and our gaze slowly moved forward in unison, slightly to the right. That's when we saw it. About 2 houses away, in a virtually barren front yard of a suburban home, besides some bushes, was a dark figure. It was someone, or something, in a dark robe. No face, no features at all, just the robe. Now, this figure didn't acknowledge us, not yet. It instead walked or moved in a certain way. I can't articulate it correctly, as if it was walking in circles slowly, without really walking. It held something that was blowing in the wind. And yes, the wind picked up a little bit as well. Another odd element was that the light that illuminated it somewhat. There was a street light a few houses up, but it wasn't strong enough to illuminate this figure as it was. Tom and I were frozen. In fact, I'm almost frozen as I write this. It's been a while since I have thought about this night. So there we were, frozen in fear, staring at this dark figure, moving, yet doing so without moving. And it was holding something. Or perhaps what was blowing in the wind was more of its robe. I'm really not sure. We stared at this thing for I don't know how long until it stopped. And suddenly, it looked at us as if it was finally alarmed by our presence. Oh, this is getting a little creepy. That was enough for us. We ran away as fast as we could. We cut through a side street that was to lead us to a parallel street towards my neighborhood. This street led to a slight hill. As we rounded the corner and started running up the hill in a panic, we stopped because on that hill we saw another dark figure with its arms raised. We turned around and ran away in the direction of Tom's house, which at this distance was at least 5 miles away. Oh, this isn't looking good for them. We ran, but time stood still. The next thing I remember, we were laying in the middle of a courtyard in some other neighborhood that we'd never been in. Gasping for breath, we sat up and without saying a word, we walked in silence back to his house. The air felt normal again, although we felt like we were in a haze of sorts, albeit out of danger. We fell asleep in his house. I woke up the next morning and went home. A few days later, I rode my bike to that location. Perhaps it was shadow play. Perhaps there was a certain tree or bush, or maybe a for sale sign or something that made it look like there was something else there. Nothing. It was an open yard. Tom and I didn't speak of that night for a long time. Years later, when I brought it up, he replied, "Yeah, what the hell was that?" Or, "What the heck was that?" As if no time had passed. What was it? I have no idea. We hadn't taken any drugs. We hadn't been drinking any alcohol. I wonder if it could have been a haunting, a specter, a ghost. Maybe it was an alien abduction or sighting. We saw no craft, but there was that unexplained light. Or maybe it was some other kids messing with us. But how would they have known we were coming? How could they be so prepared? I just don't know. That was roughly 24 years ago, give or take. And yes, this is a true story. Sadly, my best friend Tom passed away suddenly a few months ago. I thought of this night during his funeral. I thought of returning to that site. I thought of the odd coincidence of unexpected and surprising death, just like my classmate that night. Is there a connection? Were we seeing some future fate for one of us, which sadly fell upon my best friend Tom? Was this all some dull hallucination in my mind? No way, right? But it haunts me sometimes. That's a little creepy. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think it was? Why don't you leave me a comment? Let me know what you think, and I'll be happy to read them and tell you what I think. Discuss it amongst yourselves. Let me know if you like these stories. I know the first two were kind of duds, but I think the last one was pretty cool. Sorry, little noise going on. Ooh, little brightness happening in my eyes there. But yeah, I hope you're having a great day, great night, whenever you're watching this, which I actually hope is at night, because it's just, I don't know, it's more fun that way. But make sure to hit that thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a comment, subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow or the next day. I don't really know. Whenever the mood strikes. I don't really have a schedule planned as of yet, but with it being October and me just getting back into the swing of things, I'm hoping to at least try to get some good content out for you as quickly as I can. So I hope you enjoy it, and like I said, please remember to hit that like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you think that that robed figure was, and yeah, subscribe if you're not, so that you can continue to get videos from me. And if you do choose to subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell icon thing, so that way you do get the notifications when things come out and you don't miss anything. And hopefully you are enjoying my return. Have a great whatever time it is for you. Bye.